Jason Bourne is trying to regain his memories while living a private life. Sadly, he cannot hide as his name becomes linked to a heinous crime. A few years after Operation Treadstone was decommissioned, Jason Bourne is living in Goa, India with his girlfriend Marie Kreutz. Jason gets frequent nightmares as he hasn't got all his memories back. He ensures that he writes everything that he remembers so he can picture who he was in his past life. Meanwhile, in Berlin, CIA Deputy Director Pamela Landy leads a team to pay an unnamed Russian source. The source is giving them the Nevsky files showing the CIA who stole $20 million 7 years ago. The agent meets with the source, but just as the money changes hands, someone blows up the fuse, causing a power outage. The culprit then enters the room, eliminates the two men, and steals the money and the files. By the time Pamela's agents get into the room, it's too late. Pamela is angry about this failure and orders the agents to comb through everything to get the person behind it. The culprit, a Russian Federal Security Service agent, Krill, takes the documents and the money to his boss, oligarch Yuri. Krill then prepares himself for the second part of his mission. Bourne is in town buying some water when he spots a man stepping out of a car and getting into the postmaster's building. He rushes to Marie's shop, asking her to get into the car as he suspects they've been discovered. Bourne believes that Treadstone is still active and the person behind it wants to execute him. Bourne's suspicions are confirmed when Krill gets into the car and starts chasing the couple all over town. Marie wants Bourne to quit these destructive acts as he has a choice to pick the right thing. Realizing he might not get to kill them, Krill takes a higher position and shoots into the car, hitting Marie. This causes Marie to lose control of the vehicle and it crashes into the bridge, falling into the river below. Bourne gets out of the sinking car and manages to get Marie out. Unfortunately, he cannot save her and watches as she drifts away lifelessly. On the bridge, Krill assesses the situation and determines that both Marie and Jason are dead as neither resurfaces. Krill travels to Russia to confirm he's finished his mission to Yuri. Krill parts with Yuri, promising to reach out in a month. Bourne watches from the riverbanks as the car is retrieved. He goes to the house he shared with Marie and burns most of their stuff. He then retrieves a few passports, money, and weapons. He gets on a bus determined to avenge his beloved. At the same time, Pamela visits the director, asking for clearance so she can access the Treadstone files. She says she has a lead which might help them uncover something more significant than anticipated. The director gives in and allows her access to the files, but wants everything wrapped up as soon as possible since Krill stole $3 million in cash. Pamela combs through the files and interrogates Section Chief Abbott regarding Project Treadstone. He reveals everything, and Pamela shares the botched mission in Germany. After the $20 million theft, a Russian politician, Nevsky, was about to reveal who was behind the heist when his wife killed him in a suspicious murder-suicide. Luckily, he'd mentioned that the heist had been orchestrated by someone working for the US government. Now, Pamela is sure that Bourne and the late Treadstone director Conklin were behind the theft. Bourne uses his passport at the airport and gets detained immediately, and an alert is issued. He's taken to an interrogation room to be interviewed. The team learns of Bourne's arrest in Naples and quickly makes arrangements to get there. The interviewing agent gets a call from Langley warning him that Bourne is high risk. By the time the agent pulls out his gun, Bourne is already up and he easily overpowers the agent and the officer standing guard. Bourne quickly copies the agent's SIM card and flees the building in a stolen car. He learns about Berlin and how he's wanted for murder and theft. Pamela contacts the agent but learns of Bourne's escape. She quickly assembles a team, including Treadstone support technician Nikki. The group watches Bourne's arrest and assumes he made a mistake. Nikki quickly shuts down these thoughts, saying that the Treadstone operatives never made mistakes and his arrest was intended. Bourne travels to Germany to meet with Jada. The two are the only remaining Treadstone operatives. Jada explains that Conklin had died and he has no idea what had happened in Berlin. Bourne is about to leave when Jada ambushes him, resulting in a fight. Luckily, Bourne strangles Jada and exits the house. A few minutes later, the house explodes. Bourne calls several hotels and finds the hotel where Pamela is staying. After confirming, Bourne follows the car to the CIA operative base. He enters a nearby building and calls Pamela, ensuring Treadstone was shut down 2 years ago. He can't remember exactly what happened in Berlin, so he agrees to come in but wants Nikki to arrest him. Pamela says she can't find her, but Bourne mentions her exact location near Pamela, proving that he can see them. Abbott wants Bourne executed, but Pamela refuses. The two argue for a while, but Pamela stays strong and decides to send Nikki in with an order to eliminate Bourne if things go wrong. Nikki stands at the designated area, but a crowd comes in and she's asked to get on the tram. Several agents get in too, but Bourne gets to her before the agents can retrieve her. Bourne wants to know what's happening and why he's being hunted. Nikki explains what happened in Berlin, and Bourne confesses he was in India, and Pamela hears this. Bourne takes Nikki to an underground station and interrogates her. The aggressive nature of the interrogation makes Jason remember that his first mission was in Berlin. He asks Nikki for confirmation, but she says it wasn't in his file. Bourne leaves after learning that Abbott had ordered the hit on Conklin. He gets on a computer and searches for details regarding Neski's murder. This makes him suspect that he might have been the one who eliminated the family. Meanwhile, an agent shows Abbott evidence that makes him suspect someone is trying to frame Bourne. The explosives at the power cables didn't explode at the same time, meaning the second one was left intentionally so the team could get Bourne's partial fingerprints. Abbott eliminates the agent, showing that he might be the inside man Pamela is looking for. Bourne travels to Germany and books the same hotel he'd stayed in the first time, using his memories to guide him. He gets access, but the receptionist calls Pamela's team with his location. Bourne remembers breaking into the Neskis' hotel and killing the wife and husband, framing it as a murder-suicide. Bourne also recalls Conklin telling him that the Neskis were traitors, so he'd done well to execute him. He breaks out of his reverie just as the police storm into the hotel room. Bourne evades them and exits the hotel, running from the police officers chasing him into the railway station. Bourne uses an oncoming train to flee, jump into a ship, and escape by latching onto the bridge when the boat is pulled over and gets into a train. Back at the hotel, Pamela recognizes it as where Neski was eliminated. She wonders why Bourne is revisiting the place of his supposed crime. Abbott excuses himself for the night and retires to his hotel. He calls Yuri, saying that Bourne is still alive and might be the one who brings them down. It's revealed that Abbott had helped Yuri steal the $20 million from the CIA. After the conversation, Abbott realizes that Bourne is in the room. He admits everything, including how they lied to Bourne about the Neskis being traitors. Bourne records everything, including how Marie's death was an accident as he was the one supposed to be behind the wheel and Abbott wants Bourne to kill him. Bourne refuses, saying that Marie wouldn't want him to do that. Yuri seeks out Krill, who's partying at a club. He tells her that Bourne is alive and coming to Russia. Back in Berlin, Pamela learns of the agent's death and puts two and two together. She confronts Abbott, who accepts responsibility and then kills himself. Unfortunately, Abbott's death makes Pamela angry as she doesn't know who stole the money just yet. Pamela's team sees Bourne heading to Moscow and they send all the agents there. Pamela returns to the office and finds a package delivered to her by Bourne. In the envelope, she finds a tape recorder which confirms Yuri is the thief. Meanwhile, Bourne is looking for the Neski's daughter Irina when Krill and the police start chasing him. A chase ensues with Krill determined to execute Bourne once and for all. After a long while, Bourne forces Krill's car into a concrete divider. Bourne exits the vehicle and leaves behind a seriously wounded Krill, remembering Marie's words that he has a choice not to be a killer. Yuri and his people get arrested for the crimes they committed. Bourne finally locates Irina. He apologizes for killing her parents. He says he would want to know what had happened if he were Irina. He also hates that she's had to live with the lie that her mother killed her father. Bourne explains that his target had been Neski, but the wife appeared out of nowhere, so he got creative. After apologizing, Bourne leaves the devastated girl behind. In New York, Bourne calls Pamela sometime later, wanting to know why she's still looking for him. Pamela thanks Bourne for the files as they helped arrest and convict Yuri. As a gracious gesture, Pamela reveals that Bourne's birth name is David Webb. She also gives him his date and place of birth. She wants to meet Bourne and talk, but Jason asks her to take a break as she looks tired, showing that he is once again looking through the window. The film ends as Jason disappears into the city below.